Welcome back, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Let me know. Let's get some people in the comments in the chat room. I haven't had any chat room yet. I apologise for whatever happened there. Let's get any Guardians in as well. Guardians, how you doing?
Salutations.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That's the first time Restream has let us down in quite a while. For some reason, the planned event stream, the whole events page just crashed.
Yeah.
I had to set up a new stream.
I think you've got issues with the microphone. It sounds a bit distorted.
Oh, everyone here says they can hear me loud and clear. Let me just check the settings.
I've got like...
Okay. But we've got to be careful, we're broadcasting in 1080p. That's the problem. Inner Guardians has got all the connection problems. So yeah, we're going to be 1080p, might as well turn it up, that's better. I'll just have the one camera. How's everyone doing? Yeah, Lance is a bit fussy. Right, okay, does it still sound weird? I need to know. Fuzzy sound. Bear me a sec. Just get rid of right. Could everyone let me know if it sounds okay now? Does this still sound good? Does this sound alright? Because basically we've got an interference sound. Okay, right. Bear with me a sec. I'll be back. I know what it was. I wasn't even using this microphone. It was coming out of the microphone on the goddamn webcam somewhere. Right, is that better? Yeah, we're back. We're back. It's Rise Above, everyone. No, not that sound effect. See, this is what happens when I turn off the Queefmaster Pro. We want a proper Rise Above sound effect. Something a bit more like this.
Excellent.
Master Lee, that was a big mistake on my part, right? I actually didn't have the Queefmaster Pro initiated. The sound was getting picked up by one of the webcams over there. That's why it sounded rubbish. Yeah, so. Right, can we establish that it sounds good? Master Lee, can you hear us?
Yep, salutations.
Salutations, everyone.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. Okay, right, so. It's midweek chat time. Now we've got all of the technical issues and the problems out of the way. Big apologies to everyone. These things happen sometimes. But I can't fault Restream apart from what just happened. It just had a bit of a crash. So I had to scramble to get the stream back again. And, that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, I had similar problems with Zoom this week. As I started the new podcast, the Zoom, I had to basically change my Zoom because it crashed.
Right, okay. Well, that's no good.
Yeah, it's worked perfectly fine right up until the moment I actually want to use it.
Funny you should say that, because I've had the stream running in the studio for the last hour or two, and it's been absolutely fine until we literally wanted to go live. And, I was sat in the event that we'd set up, the event stream, and all of a sudden, decided to go funny. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
So, big up everyone tuned in. LA Smudge, Clarice Starling, That Hurt. Who else have we got here? Deb Allen, Smutler, Truth Matters, No Fear, Victoria Campbell, she's a regular. How was your meeting with Tara Slim? You have fun? Well, we've got Tara Slim's mate, JD Gorilla, coming on the show on Friday. We'll talk a bit more about him in a minute. Got a few different subjects tonight, haven't we?
Friday's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, yeah. Customer services. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's been a while since we've done one of those call-in shows. And before we did them, the call-in shows got a massive response. And that's why we did it 2 weeks in a row. And that was, 6 weeks ago now, the call-in show.
Yeah, it took a little while to warm up, though. Remember, nobody would call in.
And then at one point, Someone would be on the phone and like 10 other people would call in. I think it's like, you know, not everyone wants to hear their voice on the TV or whatever.
Yeah.
I get that. But I think, you know, as the night progresses and maybe people have lubricated themselves a little bit more with whatever their lubrication is, they probably feel a little bit more, you know, open to come and vent. Because I guess at the end of the day, that's what the customer services department is actually all about, isn't it?
Yeah. Are we including customer care as well? I mean, we're going to...
Yeah. Well, hey, the idea of the show is on Friday is, you know, once we've chatted to JD Gorilla, I'll just share the screen actually so we can see what the score is for this this coming Friday. See if I don't load my computer. Just put that big. No. Well, oh, I've got a call from Magix. One sec. Yes, mate. It's not streaming to YouTube. Not on Rise Above Light. Ah, you're looking on the wrong stream, mate. That link doesn't work. You need to. I've had to set up a new one. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because that one bus. And by the way, we're live, so everyone can hear what I'm saying to you. All right, see you later.
real problems in real time.
Yeah, real problems in real time. So Magix was watching the old stream, which never happened. Right, yeah. So I just said, you know, get on the new link. Okay, so
there's many others stranded on the old link.
Well, I'd like to think if they've been watching it for 7 or 8 minutes and it's just a blank screen, they would have probably logged out and seen what else is going on. We've got 55 people tuned in.
Tell you what we can do. Right?
I'd like to get everyone to share the link, this fresh link on their social media. That would be a good start, and that would be a great help actually.
Let's go one better. Let's all set the intention to communicate from a distance to everybody that's on the old link, to have inspiration to realise that there's a new link. We'll go metaphysical.
Let's do it. Let's make a metaphysical communication to all the stranded. Well, we've just had 6 more people join us.
There you go.
Join us. That's a mix of join and tune in. Yeah, 63, 2 more. That's good.
You know, digital technology is not as advanced as what human technology is.
Absolutely not. It's a poor replacement for what we've had stolen from us away already, isn't it, Master Lee?
Yeah. It's something that I've been working on actually this week quite a lot. It was actually last week's with Sheep Farm. They kind of prompted me, reminded me of a few things.
Oh, mate, we actually probably need to talk about that because this is the first time that we've spoke after the show properly. Last week's show was awesome, mate.
Yeah.
Apart from that idiot that turned up at the start, we won't let him into the studio again. I'll tell Andy PG and don't let that guy in again.
Yeah, he's banned.
He's banned. He's not welcome anymore. But no, listen, the Sheep Farm guys, they certainly didn't disappoint. You know, they're even more fun in the flesh than listening to just the two of them speak to each other on their own podcast. It was great to have the interaction.
Yeah, and what they brought up about the mind parasites from, I can't remember his surname, but Jerry, they had...
Jerry Marzinski?
That's it, yeah. Now, there was a big confirmation with what I said and what Jerry said. Now, I've never listened to Jerry, but I did actually go and listen to what he had to say.
Right, okay.
In the week, and it was pretty much spot on with what I've figured out myself. And this is actually a technique that I've used over the years, where I don't research a subject. I try and self-research it by using my own intuition, and then I kind of fact check it with other things. And 9 times out of 10, it's the same. So that gives me confirmation that I've reached the same conclusion.
Yeah. Now, I was about to say, this is what I call reverse engineered intuition research.
Yeah, that's it.
And over the last certainly the last 18 months, I was about to say maybe over the last 2 years, 3 years, when I feel like my sort of my understanding of the esoteric has sort of really crystallized. And I say exoteric, I mean not esoteric. Of, you know, what's going on in the physical world. I think my understanding sort of crystallized, and I said, you know, when the videos came out for the Rise Above stuff that was all deleted, they said, how did you know how did you come to that? How did you do that research, basically? I said, it was reverse engineered intuition.
Yeah.
That Serco stuff, I literally heard Serco, and I've said this in interviews before. I heard a couple of headlines in the mainstream media that Serco was involved. And the reason I was able to put all that together is because I knew exactly where to look for every single piece of it. Now, some people might say that that's confirmation bias, which is quite an important thing to address, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I would say that, yeah, you could say that that is confirmation bias if the concept of what you were looking into is actually up for debate. Whereas I don't think the concept of what we're looking into is actually even up for debate anymore. The mechanics of it and the who's who, that's the only thing that's up for debate, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, the other thing is as well, with regards to confirmation bias, it's generally applied when it's something that you actually desire or want. Now, most of the things, probably like with yourself, I don't want these things to happen.
No, me neither.
I truly wish that I was wrong.
Yeah.
The things that I figure out, I really wish that I'm wrong. Especially with the current events. There was actually something last week that I was going to say, but I chose not to say it because I thought it was a bit too far out. But as this week's progressed, pretty much everything the conclusions I came to last week and the week before is literally coming to pass.
Is this going to be what this prediction, sort of like ill-fated prediction you've talked about?
Well, yeah, you've heard me mention about September.
Yeah.
Probably for the last, 5 months, I've been going on about September being a particular monumental moment. And I've elucidated over various things leading up to it. And in the last 2 weeks, there's been a real quickening. I pretty much could have predicted everything that's taken place in the mainstream media last week and the week before with regards to Afghanistan. Now, this was one of the things I couldn't really communicate it well on Friday because we had a lot going on, but I was saying, look, we need to start being very concerned about certain things, and things could change very quickly. Now, it's very easy to be in a position where you can't believe or can't think certain things will happen. Well, when they change the goalposts in the narrative, all of a sudden things can fall into place to enable it to happen.
Yeah.
All it takes is like one shift of the narrative or one movement of a goalpost, and it changes everything. It changes the landscape.
And the
So
landscape
now,
has certainly been changed quite a lot in the last week, that's for sure.
yeah, I mean, look, within 1 week, now terrorism's back. For the most part, for 18 months, there's been zero mention of terrorism or sense of threat. Whereas now it's back on the table.
Well, there hasn't really been much talk of the Middle East at all, apart from the Holy Land's amazing push forward with the glorious cure.
Yeah, well, what I was predicting is that they're going to now intertwine the health terrorism with physical terrorism, which will ultimately enable the ability to use physical force. Because up until now, the use of physical force has been on the sort of backbench with regards to being for the authorities to be able to arrest and move, contain.
Yeah, because as I proved, most of the arrests under the coronavirus bill are completely bogus.
Yeah.
But if you throw some terrorism into the mix to up the ante for the lawmakers,
Yeah. That's all it takes.
Before we get into that, because that was sort of like a subject for a little bit later on. There was one. This idea. Yeah. Sorry, we just go straight in. I've had this idea, right? As everyone knows, Double LMC got deleted. My original channel where all of this started, and this channel, Rise Above Live, actually started with the 12th episode of the live stream when I was broadcasting on 2 channels. So right now online, you can only go back to episode 12. 1 to 11 aren't available. So I thought they've got to go back up. So I've had this idea. You can actually Restream a live video as a live broadcast. So theoretically, what we could do is we could choose another night of the week, apart from Wednesday and Friday, obviously. And we could either start with episode 1 and go up to 11, or we could work backwards, whichever we think is more fun. We can actually Restream them. Through Restream, I can have these comment section on the side, just like we've got here, so everyone can see each other chatting to each other. And it could be like a watch party. What does everyone think? Let me know in the comment section. Magic says only fans. No, we're not doing the Rise Above only fans. Rise Above will never be subscription based. Never.
But all these streams are kept in the cloud, yeah?
They're actually on my hard drive.
All right, okay.
I have a hard copy of all of them, everything I've ever made. So yeah, I think they should go up. I mean, it'd be quite fun. The stream would be there, and we won't be hosting or anything. I'll just play it. Everyone can jump in, watch it live, comment, and interact with each other. If we want to come on, we can come on. But I'm not going to sit there for 4 or 5 hours another night of the week. I'm just going to do this for everyone else. What do you reckon? I think that'd be quite good because it's going to, people obviously love Friday nights. The midweek we have now is proving very popular.
Maybe save it for when we're back in lockdown.
Do you think so? That's actually quite a good idea, isn't it? Because, yeah, okay. All right, I'm glad you said that. Oh yeah, massive good point here from Lone Ranger 22. R.I.P. Sean Locke. Do you know Sean Locke, the comedian?
I saw some photos, but I'm not familiar with him. No.
He was very good for a mainstream comedian. He's very good. I really liked him. Yeah, quite shocked to hear of his death today. Cancer, I think.
Yeah.
Leanne Redbourne says, Lance, that's a great idea. Yeah, the idea is not so much just to show our streams again, because not everyone wants to watch it all again, but it's all about, for me, for you guys, it's the comment section and the live chat, which is, I'm sure, a lot of the reason why many people watch this, because of the wicked community that's been created in our, in our comment section.
Yeah, we've got 1 or 2 haters as well.
Oh, of course. Here, look, an eye for an eye says, Lance, for me, it's the interaction. That's absolutely amazing.
Excellent.
It's good use of that meme there. We've got some really tasty ones. By the way, in the Guardians, Master Lee, I have the audio button here of your idea for the Algorithmic remix. It's done. We just don't have the video for it. We're waiting for Magix to put his finger out.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've completed that. I'll have the audio. I could play it now, but I won't. I want to save it for when the video's done.
Do you know about this? Somebody mentioned to me something that's sort of a bit techie. They said that when you get thumbs down and negative comments, it actually improves your algorithms. So they're actually, even the negative comments actually help.
Yeah, well, I can sort of see why that would be, because if you have something that doesn't have any thumbs down and any negative comments, the algorithm could assume that it's some sort of like controlled viewership, maybe, because don't forget, some bots use YouTube, make multiple channels, restream other people's work, and then try to get the ad revenue off it. They use non-copyright material.
Yeah.
That goes on. So maybe.
So we try it. So we get everybody to abuse us.
Why not? Yeah, could everyone do a thumbs down? Everyone do a thumbs down on this stream. Let's see how that goes. I don't mind. We don't get our ratio of thumbs up to thumbs down is incredible. It's basically the same survival rate of COVID 1984. It's like 99.97%. Like
Last Friday, you didn't get one.
And we had the most amount of likes of all time, like 246 likes and not a single down. Yeah, because the week before, the last full stream before that, we got our most amount of dislikes. We got 5 or even 6.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great. That means no. Honestly, I do honestly mean that, because what that means is we've obviously got new viewers that have clicked and they are not on board with what we're saying, but they still heard it.
Yeah,
they still heard it, and that's the most important thing.
Well, they could be on the fence.
Exactly. And, hey, if you're sat on the fence, we don't expect our regular viewers to agree with everything we say. Heck, I don't even agree with everything that's said on this show. Why should I? Why would I want a show where I agree with everything that's ever said on the show? That would be boring.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, I've covered... Yeah, so, okay, let me call it. We will start restreaming the archive of vintage Rise Above streams, and I'll start with the very first one that was done just with me and Andy PG with a single webcam, shouting into the webcam, no earphones, nothing. And we had our one guest, which was Fluid Patriot from the USA. We must actually get back in touch with him. He was a good guest. Yeah, but when the lockdown comes, that will be a present from us guys to you, and we'll actually have a watch party. So we'll jump in and we'll watch it with you at some point, but it's just not the whole show.
Is the predicted lockdown? I believe it's called fire lockdown.
What?
It's
Oh, it's a
Ori-
fire. Oh no, Firebreaker. Firebreaker,
Firebreak.
I think.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, because before it was called Circuit Breaker. Do you
Yeah.
remember? Last
Yeah,
year.
and it's because of the lack of staff in the NHS.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The pandemic has caused it. So it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. So like, big up Marcus Spitter in the comments. Yes, Spitter. I'll be talking about exemptions in just a hot minute. With regards to events, traveling, etc., etc. Big up Marcus Spitter.
Have you got some new updates on the exemptions? Because
Well, I've got some working examples of what's been happening with me that
yeah,
I can elucidate too, and I'm not going to give the names of the events or the venues, but I'll tell you roughly what they are. I mean, I've had some more confirmations through other case events, through other publications I've seen, other companies selling the exemption passes for the COVID, because you remember you can buy the exemption passes for a mask from about 5 different places that look official. Sunflower, another place, disability exemption. Well, now they're doing it for the COVID pass as well.
yeah, I've seen a couple. Yeah,
So yeah.
I've had a few interactions as well. So when you're finished, I'll mention a couple.
All right. Well, yeah. Actually, let's go into it. First subject on tonight's table was basically the follow up, because if you remember, the last time we did a midweek was all about exemption, because I'd been put in this position where I had 2 up and coming events. One was a boxing event that was televised on mainstream networks. It's pay-per-view, and it was at a big venue in London, not the biggest in size, but the most corporate official type of venue you can get that televises things. And the other event I've got coming up is a large commercial music and sports festival with about 50 to 60,000 people, I believe, or it was in 2019.
Do you need any security?
They probably employ about 150, 200 security guards, I would imagine.
No,
yeah.
personal security.
Oh right, okay. I should be all right. It's mainly students and stuff like that.
It might
The only kind of security I'd need really is from David Icke proteins floating around, to be honest, mate. So yeah, I'll just share this. We'll have one meme. I'm sort of breaking the rules for a midweek chat. We'll have one meme. Meme lords. People that just log on to watch cat videos and the official COVID narrative. Okay, but the second meme is more important. Here it is. When you realise you can ignore it all with just 2 words. This is the work of the epic Virus Man 2021. Who just wrote that in the comment section? No, that needs to be deleted. That's trying to get us put down. Someone just put some racist shit in the comment section. Add to block list. Well, look what happens. Is that what happens when someone gives me some thumbs down? We have like some bots or some haters turning up. Oh my God, another person has put it as well. Who is this? Block user on YouTube. Someone's put in some... Yeah, I did. I just blocked them. But that's never happened before. Yeah, someone's spamming us with racism.
Yeah.
I wonder who that is. Maybe it's a bot.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Back to exemption. So it really just comes down to this. There's nothing new to tell anybody. By all accounts, and I'm going to tell you it's true. Basically, any venue in the UK that is using the COVID pass scheme, where you either have to show your spearing status, your Britney status, 2 lateral flow tests, or 180 days, within 180 days, a negative PCR, a positive PCR to show that you've had it and that you're now immune. Anywhere that's using that scheme can be evaded just by saying you're exempt, and it's exactly the same as being exempt from a mask. Okay? So, here is the full elucidation. For anyone that pipes up, who is doing this in the comment section? They're like new profiles every 2 seconds. Yeah, I'm getting rid of them. Give us a sec, guys, because I'm not having this. Someone's actually attacking Rise Above directly here. Block these fools. They're either bots. Go pick Cotton Slave. Is this Nova Flip doing this? Look, it's called. They're called "It's Okay to Hit Women."
I can't read.
This is, you can't see. This is yeah. Give me a sec, guys. I'm just going through to get rid of these bots. That is a blatant digital attack on Rise Above. Someone's employed like a whole legion of bots to put abusive shit in the comment section so we get taken down. That is a first. We must be doing something right, Master Lee.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's more. Sorry, I've got to get rid of them. Yeah, sorry everyone. It's me running the show alone tonight, and I hadn't actually spotted "Make America White Again." Really? See, these must be bots. These must be bots.
This is
because
this is the incel bots.
The Intel bots.
No, incel.
Incel bots.
That new digital terrorist group that's pro-Trump and hates women.
Oh shit! I can't block that one. What's going on here? Block user. I'll block them on Restream. I'll do. Shit! I hope I didn't accidentally block anybody else there by accident. I was just clicking block, block, block. If anyone else got blocked by accident, someone message me and I'll try and unblock you. Yeah, I apologise for whatever was going on there. They've got to be bots. Anyway. Right. Exemptions. So, I'll start with the event that I've already been to, which was on Saturday just gone. A lot of people watched it. It was a high-level bare-knuckle boxing event at a venue in London that's got the same name as a mobile telephone network. I'll just say that. You can put two and two together. Now, in preparation for this, what I did was I emailed the events manager of the venue. Nothing to do with who was employing me, nothing to do with the boxing show, the actual events manager of the venue. And I said to them basically, I'm working at this event and I am exempt from testing and spearing. I've read the legislation on the NHS app and on the government website, and basically I just need to declare my exemption to you. I thought I'd do this ahead of time to alleviate any confusion on the door in case people aren't clued up on the rules. And the manager got back to me straight away and said, no, that's absolutely fine, that everyone is clued up on the rules, but just show them this email saying, and it said Lance is exempt from using the NHS app from the name of the, with the event name and the venue name. Now, so I was ready. I was armed with that. So I'm just blocking more of these bots. Sorry, guys. Fuck liberals. These are just generic international bots.
Mm.
Yeah, it makes me wonder why we've suddenly had this attack.
Like I say, it's the incel.
The incel?
Yeah, that's that new digital terrorist group that the class of terrorists linked to Putin.
Linked to Putin? Oh, right. Okay.
No, the shooting.
Oh, the shooting. Sorry.
Yeah,
wait. What? The Plymouth shooting?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I haven't. I feel quite ignorant on this subject because I haven't actually looked into it. I don't know anything about the Plymouth shooting apart from apparently he liked Katie Hopkins and Donald Trump.
Yeah, so what they're saying is he's connected to a new group called Incel, which stands for something like something celibacy.
Incel means involuntarily celibate. But this was like a group of people that's been around. This is like an internet meme, or like soy boys or cucks. Yeah, but it's like one of those things.
Yeah, but they're kind of warming up everything to basically put everything under that umbrella because it covers pretty much anything that they don't like. And if you use the terms like...
it's like an insult, isn't it?
If you use red pill...
Look, sorry, Marsley, I've got to stop you. They've just said, fuck British faggots. So, basically, I've just said this is an American bot. So someone must be watching. Because that's the first bot, that's the first comment that's got anything to do with the UK.
Yeah.
I wonder who's doing that. Incel terrorism. Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on here? We must be doing something right if someone's deployed this against us. Yeah. Interesting. Let's see what we've got in these jingles, one sec.
Summon your inner Statham. Inner Statham. Inner Statham.
Your inner Statham is something that I have to summon in the booth before I do recorded like a grime vocal. 'Cause my voice is actually a bit soft to do grime. So I summoned when Irma Beats like do like the Jason Statham impression. So I just summoned this inner Statham, and that's what that means anyway. In your inner Statham can mean anything you want. It's sort of like the courage from in, you know. There's a Jason Statham inside everybody, for real. So yeah, we're talking about exemption. We're having a bit of a laugh as well. We're talking about exemption from venues. Now, myself and MC Spitter, Marcus, we've got a really, really big festival coming up. And I've already got the email that says about all the COVID protocols for entry. Now, obviously, that's coming from my employer directly, who's an events middleman, actually called Middleman Management, funny enough. But again, I just emailed the venue. I explained my situation, that I'm totally COVID exempt from every part of the COVID union. And they said, yeah, no problem. The event staff will be fully clued up. You say I'm exempt, you can show you can wear your lanyard, you can show something on your phone. Would be better. I said, what about if I just want to say I'm exempt? They said, yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to wear a lanyard, I said, no, I don't want to wear a lanyard.
Well, you know, the legislation, it actually protects the exemption, and I'm guessing that no promoter or event manager wants to be the first prosecution case.
Because hairdressers have already been done, and shop people. There have been more than a handful of fines handed out.
Oh, here's one for you. There's a thing called the 9,000 challenge. I don't know if you've seen it anywhere. It's a group of people that are going around trying to claim the £9,000 from any discrimination from wearing a mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're briefing everybody up and sending them out with cameras, trying their hardest to get stopped, I guess, and for there to be an issue, because then they can all the paperwork set up ready, so they can go for they go for out of court settlement of $5,000. And apparently it's quite easy.
Not bad work if you can get it.
Yeah, so you've got teams actively going out. So I should imagine that a lot of these corporations and shops have been sent an email from head office.
That's real guerrilla warfare, that is. I like that. Because at the end of the day, that's using the legislation that's been put there to protect you, and it's actually weaponizing it to create a safer place for everybody else. You know, if on the battlefield in war, you don't just deploy the whole army all at once if you can help it. If you can send in a special forces team ahead of time to sabotage, right? To infiltrate, to sabotage, and to weaken the enemy. Sometimes you don't even have to send in the foot soldiers and the infantry.
Yeah.
I like it.
Violent wars in the dark.
Silent wars in the dark. So where are we going with this? What I'm saying is, I'm pretty much proving that for even high-end venues, i.e. tens of thousands of people, when I say this festival isn't like some grimy music festival. It is a totally corporate festival. It's sponsored by the biggest names in booze and sportswear you can imagine, all right? The other venue, which I successfully did this at last week, everyone knows these venues. They're around the country, and they're the top venues when you go there, and they're televised venues. So, you know, a lot of people said that I should boycott those events. Well, guess what? Yeah, the COVID union has already taken enough money from me. It's already cost me enough money in 2020 where I couldn't work at all. I'm absolutely over my dead body. Are they going to stop me working ever again? And I will not comply. I will not give them 1 single millimeter of compliance. I won't test. I won't download an app. And I certainly, obviously, won't have any Britney Spears going on. Suzanne634, there are Rise Above t-shirts are totally sold out at the moment. Actually, I lie. I've got 2 extra large red Rise Above Live t-shirts there, the last ones. A new box, a new supplier, because I've been badly let down by my old supplier. Literally badly let down. Stole loads of t-shirts off me that I've paid for. Well, 10. So, yeah, I have a new supplier. I have a secret partnership with a much better supplier, and roughly in 1 week we'll have a box of white and black original, not these ones, the original Rise Above t-shirt. Let me put the graphic in the corner. This one. original Rise Above this one. And it's going to have the QR code on the back that goes directly to the website, so you can red pill people in real time when you go out and about. Whoa, what's this T-shirt? Scan the back. Scan the back.
You're allowed to say red pill. I thought that was on the list, the new list.
What's? Oh, is it? I haven't been told about this. Wait a minute. Is
No,
red?
I'm referring to this. I think it was ITV or something. They did a chat show, and they had this specialist, like a social engineering specialist, on explaining this new incel stuff.
So what you're saying is right. I think I'm starting to get this now. What you're elucidating to is that we could possibly be lumped under this incel banner because of what we're doing, talking about. Is it going to be sort of like a pejorative umbrella to put all dissidents under? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, it started out as excuse me, as one thing, but I'm sure they'll.
Yeah, it started out as people that couldn't get laid.
Yeah.
Like computer geeks that literally couldn't get laid because they had no social skills. That's what an incel actually is. It's someone that is involuntary celibate. Someone that can't get laid.
Yeah, but they keep adding to what constitutes as being one.
Yeah, but it's like having a fucking racial slur and saying, well, it started off for that race of people, but we include other races as well. It just doesn't make any sense. The incel started as an insult for people that couldn't get laid.
Well, it's all linked because, for instance, gun rights. So if you're into gun rights, you're now classed as a racist.
Yeah. or if you're into men's rights, you're a sexist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, someone just put John Overkill in the comment section. I think enough was said about John Overkill last week on Friday. I've got nothing more to say at the moment. Andy PG had something to say last week.
Is he coming on the show?
Andy, what? John Overkill?
Yeah.
No, well, I don't know. I've invited him on the show many times, like 5 or 6 times. He appeared in the comment section a couple of weeks ago, and because someone called him a liar, so he appeared, and he was conversing with some people. He was respectful to me. I said, big up Overkill. He said, oh, big up Rise Above and Double O on the team, whatever. Yep. But then it sort of deteriorated quite quickly, didn't it? I don't know if you were watching the comment section, but I was. And it's sort of like, it sort of boiled down to who was saying, anyone that isn't down with what I'm doing must be a shill or 77th Brigade. And I don't want to misquote anyone else, but I can pretty much boil down. That's what he was saying. And, and I said, John, I came on your show only 3 days ago. Come on, jump on. You've been in the comment section for 5-10 minutes, and he wouldn't come on. He said he had some family stuff he was doing. Very active in the comment section, though.
Maybe another day.
Maybe another day. It's still an open invite. And we've got lots to discuss. I think. The more times go on, there is more to discuss. I'm sure he's not going to come on here to kiss my ass, and I'm not going to have him to come on here to kiss his ass either. But we've got things to talk about, I feel.
Well, we just want the truth. That's the common goal. We just want to get to the bottom of stuff.
And I will have some elucidations with him that maybe accusing everyone that doesn't fully agree with everything you say as being a shill isn't fully productive. I'll put that out there as a feeler, a precursor for this conversation. Yeah, that's all we'll say about that for the moment, I think.
Sure.
Back to exemptions, right? What I was saying before this subject came up. This is applying particularly to venues, going out to festivals, to shows, to the theatre. Crowds of over 500 people. I'm going to be living proof, and I'll document all of it if I can, without shoving a camera in people's face when I'm trying to get into my job, that you can do this very easily as you don't wear a mask. But here's the big burning question. Can we expand this to travelling overseas, crossing borders? Because remember, this is only UK law. So, where's my notes? One sec.
Well, I think the Taliban have already proven you can do it.
Oh yeah, so I had 3 things: entry into venues, we've proven. I'm proving, and the other 2 things I wrote down were at work. So people like these care workers, they're the first on the front line of getting speared, and the other one was travelling. So I don't know the answer to these questions yet, and I'm going to do my best. You know, it's only a matter of time before I get another international booking for MMA or something like that. Fingers crossed. You know, my career was going really well until this happened. It was going really well. I was all over the place. So as soon as I get one of those, I'm going to test this out. I'm going to test it out at the airport. I'm going to try and avoid getting tested. We've got Magix, but he's called himself Double LMC for some reason. Let me introduce Magix. Yeah, Magix, what you saying, mate?
Evening.
Evening.
Yeah, I'm in the main Restream account.
Yeah, it's the same account. We're both logged into the same account. I'm just going to change your name over here. One sec.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Chat this evening.
Yeah, it's been varied, hasn't it? So here's a good example, mate. Are you ready to use this at your work? Because you've said that you're in a bad situation. If you don't mind talking about your personal situation online, of course. But you said you're not in a good situation with the spearing at your place of work.
Yeah. I'm not going to say too much, but I'm the only one, and it's very awkward.
Well, all I'm going to say is I hope you don't leave and you let them sack you. Because that's what I recommend to everyone does. If it comes to it and you can't use this, the protocols that we're talking about here.
Yeah, never walk away.
Never walk away. Never leave. Make them sack you. So yeah, put your testicles on the table. Let's see how big they are. Show me them. Are they hairy? Slap them on the table. If you're saying I've got to leave, do it. And I'll see you in court. They don't like that kind of shit.
No, they don't. I just find with work, it's always worth because I've been at the point of being in charge of people as well as being underneath, and obviously you have as well. You gotta just be careful about jumping straight into bringing up, I'll bring law against you to your boss, because you just get instantly onto that trade of thought, innit?
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about a last resort here when they're saying, when they put 100%. You are going to be when they put dismissal on the table.
Yeah.
Or demotion.
That's when you got to get. Yeah, you've got to take it to that next step then. But it's for anyone listening that's having issues with work, don't jump straight into the law thing instantly.
No. Just just tell them that mate, stand your ground. I won't be taking part in the experiment. I mean, as far as I can see, possibly the best exemption and the one that isn't actually a blag is actually vaccine hesitancy. Spearage, Britney hesitancy about Britney Spears, right? Because at the end of the day, all you need to say is this is an experiment. And for me, taking part in the world's largest ever global medical experiment in the early stages, before any of the results have really been released, in fact, before any results of the stage 3 trials have actually been released, is something that would cause me a great deal of anxiety, distress, dis-ease. The list is endless. In fact, my back is starting to hurt just thinking about it.
It is. Mental stress is a serious thing, and if it's bringing you serious
we can joke, but it is serious.
That is if your boss is to force that on you, they're forcing mental anxiety onto you, and that is a whole crazy ball game.
Have you heard about this new condition? It's called health anxiety. So a side effect of the last 18 months is now people are suffering from health anxiety.
So
I'm sure that could be used to your advantage, right?
Sorry?
What you're saying is that Magic said, is it that basically a phobia of being ill? It's
focusing too much on one's health with all the negative propaganda.
Being a hypochondriac, yeah?
Well, think about it, right? In the last 18 months, have they given any reports, as an example, any reports of how many people have got better from having this so-called thing?
Not a single one.
Everything's doom and gloom.
Yeah, so they're only reporting all of the negative side of things. Now, even by their own kind of science, the amount of people that haven't died or have got better or only had it for a day or 2 days, and it was less worse than anything else they've ever got, they're not being reported. It should be, but it's like, when you watch the news, they very rarely give you a happy story, do they?
No, there's no report of any recoveries. Do you remember early on? It might have been even before you joined us in the Guardians. I showed a graph from the Wuhan Holocaust Organisation, and it showed like how many infected, and this was quite early on last year. How many infected, how many died, and how many recovered in each country. Now, in not one single country did the recovered added up to the deaths, not one, even close. And in some countries it showed, oh no, Britain was the only country it showed 0 recovery. This was from the WHO. It actually had a 0 on the graph, not NA, not TBA, actually had 0. So England, out of all countries that had all grossly underreported their recoveries just by simple mathematics, right? We'd actually reported 0.
So officially they're saying that nobody got it and recovered.
No one recovered. Nobody recovered.
There you go. Yeah.
COVID's forever.
So for 18 months, we've been bombarded with sort of health problems and death and doom. And this is a side effect of that, or consequence of that, is that people are now suffering from a thing called health anxiety, which you can kind of see on a day-to-day basis with people. You know, like people have to go to the toilet to cough.
Oh yeah, I'll tell everyone about my my trip to Specsavers this morning while we're on the subject. Yeah. So I had basically I couldn't find my prescription sunglasses after the wedding, after the general turned up. I think he lost them, idiot. So I thought I better get some more, and I'd suffered from a bit of a migraine as well. Maybe my eyes. I have a new eye test. I get down there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you know the place opens at 8. This is Specsavers in Poole. I'll call them out. I tagged a Facebook post complaining about them anyway. 9 o'clock in the morning, get there, and there's a barrier across the door with a little table. What? There's not many people in there at all. Why is there a barrier across the door? So I go there, and I'm about to step over it. The woman comes up, oh, can I help you? I was like, yeah, I've got an eye test. Why is there a barrier here? I said, this is so 2020. What's going on? She sort of looked at me and sort of like awkward laughed. This is so 2020, darling. Right? And so I come in, she goes, oh, please, will you wear a mask? I just said, no. She goes, here's some hand sanitizer. I said, no, thanks. She goes, okay, we go and stand over there. I was just like, it was going so well. And, everyone in there, even it unanimously was wearing some face pants. And, and I sat there and I sat in this little plastic Perspex booth next to no one else in the next Perspex booth. You know, I put it on Facebook and it was like, I said, this is the waiting room at Specsavers in Poole looks like a press shot from Wuhan in 2020, like March 2020. That's what it looked like. You know, everyone, visors, gloves, face masks, plastic barriers everywhere. It was just like, Jesus. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't rate Specsavers anymore, even if they do 2-for-1 prescription sunglasses.
Well, I go to, and I'm not trying to be posh, but I go to a private opticians who's very, very good. Very expensive, but I kind of figured it was worth it. And
yeah, your eyes are important.
They actually create these metaphysical bubbles that you can go in with the consultant, and you don't need masks or anything. Apparently, it came from Boris.
A metaphysical bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Like the bubble idea?
Bubble.
What? Oh my god.
Yeah, but you have to sit down. If you stand up, it breaks the bubble. Apparently, that's what they told me.
It's like after 10 o'clock at night. That was a crazy one, wasn't it?
Well, you know what I thought? I sat there with a consultant in this metaphysical bubble, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, if I said this to them, they would think I was a nutcase.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, you're about to right. Yeah, everyone here isn't. I'm allowed to speak to you two because you're in my metaphysical rise above bubble. Okay, anyone outside this bubble, they're simply someone on the other side of the ether. Yeah, they listen to the show, think we're nutters.
Well, this is
essentially what the bubble is. That's what the bubble is.
These are the things that I teach. You know, this is part of like metaphysical personal protection about your torus field and creating security bubbles around you, and you know the protection of your aura. You know, if I went in there and told them this, they would probably think I was a nutcase. But it was okay for them to say it because Boris said it was all right.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what is a bubble, right? It's basically like going on the government website and just telling them the group of people that you're going to be around from the day that you promise not to contract the virus from. Yeah. And you can change your bubble. Oh, this is my work bubble. Yeah, okay. I don't speak to anyone outside this bubble. I don't go within 2 meters of them.
But I I like the bit where they said to me, if I stand up, it will break the bubble. So I had to remain. We both had to remain seated, and then they put their mask back on and took their rubber gloves. Sorry, put their rubber gloves back on, and then they had to break the bubble first, if I remember rightly.
Isn't it funny how these sort of, you know, you've said you've paid more for this private optician, so they're a bit of a cut above your Specsavers or your Vision Express.
I get a bubble.
Yeah, you get a free bubble, but the thing is, right? On one hand, you could say what they've essentially done is they've read the bill,
Yeah,
and they've worked out a loophole.
yeah,
Now, I'm not being funny. If you're smart enough to realise that you can just read the legislation and find some legalese to work around not contracting the world's most deadly pandemic ever, right? Surely you must be smart enough to realise that it doesn't certainly matter whether you sit down or stand up. So who are you doing that for? Because the customer that has got the bubble, they're just pleased they don't have to wear a mask. Because if they do want to wear one, they're going to wear one anyway, right? We can assume that. So this whole standing up and sitting down thing, it's like the restaurant. You know, apparently when you stand up at the restaurant, you've got to put your mask on when you walk to the toilet.
What it is, it's excuse me. When you're fitting glasses, they need to be able to see the whole face. Now, if you're wearing a mask, to put the mask on correctly, it has to go above the nose, so it interferes with the glasses, and the consultant can't get any symmetry of the face.
Right.
So they've had to come up with this. Same way you go into a restaurant, you need your mouth to eat. So they've had to kind of figure out a loophole.
Yeah, because it's really funny. When I was doing the televised work in Sweden and Romania last year, when I had that like awesome 6-week stint out in Europe, they were super hot on restrictions. And I'm not going to lie, I was PCR tested like once every other day after shows. I was PCR tested loads of times, but I only let the doctor do it in my mouth, and I held his arm so it didn't go down to never in my nose. And you know, it was a private doctor; it wasn't like an official one. So, you know, regular swabs, etc., whatever. But like with the masks, everyone had to wear a mask. Anyone that could be seen on camera had to wear a mask, and if they took it off for a second, they were big time told off. And even some people were fined. And it was in the agreement you could get fined €100 out of your wages for taking your mask off on camera. But apart from me and the commentators, because obviously we had to speak. So the referee, the cage men, all of the officials, all of the judges, the timekeeper, all of the coaches, all of the cornermen, etc. at this big MMA event with no crowd, all had a mask on apart from me, because I had to speak. I was the one that was going and shouting in people's faces. Literally, you could see my spit coming out of my mouth and hitting the fighters in the faces. While I'm going rah in the faces. So it just at the end of the day, it just shows the lunacy. And that wasn't because I'm an asshole. They told me to be like that. They said whatever you do, turn it up 150% because we love it. And they wanted me to be, because the guy I was replacing was like he was like Bruce Buffer on crystal meth. This guy, their MC, just absolutely shouty. So yeah, they said shout in their faces. I did it. The fighters didn't have to wear masks.
Yeah,
Covered each other's blood and stuff.
I had a very interesting interaction with the local council last year with regards to training dogs. Now, according to their guidelines, the training of dogs was classed as non-essential, so you weren't allowed to do it. But if you're training a protection dog or security dog, then it's classed as essential or key or whatever. So you're allowed to do that. So I spoke to the council to get clarification, and they kept saying to me, well, look on our website and it tells you all there how it works. I said, well, can you tell me how it works? And they said, well, no, look on the website. And I said, well, can you tell me? And they said, well, no, look on the website. I said, have you looked at the website? They said, no.
They don't know.
They didn't know, right? So anyway, long story short, they basically said, read the website. It's down to your interpretation to figure it out, whether you can do it or not. So in a nutshell, if I train a dog as a pet dog, I'm not allowed to do it. But if I train it in terms of protection and security, then I can train it all day long.
Makes perfect sense, comrade.
Yeah, it's it's crazy. The whole thing's crazy. So it's down to definition.
Yeah, well, it clearly just doesn't make any sense at all, does it?
No. Absolute absurdity.
Absolute absurdity. All right, as we approach our first hour, what we're going to do, I'm just adding a second screen because it just looks better, doesn't it? We're actually going to have a little mini break, only 5 minutes, and I'm going to play a video from our guest that's coming up on Friday. And I'll tell you what, I'll just cue it up actually, because we're just approaching the hour mark, and it is only the midweek chat here on Rise Above. Let's have a jingle, why not?
Quite a dwelling, peasants. Choose your destiny.
Rise Above, like those ones. Okay, so yeah, right. We've talked about exemption. Maybe we'll have a couple of questions about that just to finish that off when we come back from the break.
So if you cut in and just say something before we go to the break.
Yeah, absolutely. Carry on. Yeah,
I just noticed we've got absolutely tons of new people in the chat.
Oh yeah, big them up.
I'd just like to say a shout out to like Fiery Nessa, who seems to be a new person. Eye to Eye. Yeah, there's so many new people. Like, just
it's great. Big up all of our new viewers. Please share the stream.
Edgar Podnick. Edgar Podnicks. Steve Sold That Hurt. Clarice Sterling, Marcus. So many of you. Big up all the new people. Tony Bruni.
Absolutely. And also, don't forget, this Friday is Rise Above Customer Services. So what that means is we have our normal show with myself, Andy PG, maybe Magix, definitely Oma Beats, live in the studio. Joining us will be Inner Guardians, spoken word nerd, but we actually invite you guys to call in. You can call in on Skype, that's best. If you can't do Skype, you can message me and get a direct phone number, as long as you don't go giving it out. And you literally just call up like a phone call, we'll patch you into the show, unless you are an experienced streamer who can just connect to a link and you know how to do the settings and it's not going to be a farting around. You can do that as well. The reason we want to hear from you at the customer service department here at Rise Above is we want you to come with some feedback. First of all, about the show. If you like what we're doing, let us know what's great. If you don't like what we're doing, even more importantly, we want to hear about that at customer services. That's very important. Secondly, if you're pissed off with the Soviet Union, with the current situation, to do with anything, you can vent, you can, tell us a story, whatever it is. If you think we're all crazy conspiracy theorists, we'd love to hear from you as well. I think we might be hearing from Rue, hopefully. We'll hear how his first Britney Spears went. So that's what's going to happen this Friday. And we have an amazing guest. He goes by the name of JD Gorilla. In my opinion, this guy, I'm going to say it, for me, he's like a UK Immortal Technique. And if anybody knows who Immortal Technique is, he is he's not signed to the major labels, but he sells millions of records. He's an amazing, revolutionary rapper. And this guy, JD Gorilla, he ticks all the boxes, mate. I've seen him doing sort of outreach on the streets. I've heard his music. I've seen him. I know him through Terra Slim. Only been chatting online. I think he's perfect for the show. I'm really looking forward to hearing from him.
Like supplements as well, doesn't he? He has a supplement business.
Yeah, he's well into his health, his holistic health, I believe.
He knocks it all up himself and then delivers it to people.
Awesome. All right, well, here we're going to play a track here from JD Gorilla, and we'll be right back. It's Rise Above. Stick with us.
Behind material bravado, who are you without the car? Who are you without the cargo? Who are you when no one's around and without your smartphone? Who are you as a child before you turned into an arsehole? Who are you when we take it down to brass tacks? Why's everyone afraid to be themselves? I gotta ask that. Faking like you're pissing in the wind without a splashback. Card in the machine but you ain't got enough for cash back. Why'd you think your value is perception of your net worth? Well, that ain't gonna matter now, cause shit's about to get worse. Economy is crashing like a jet, burnt dead cert. Soon we're gonna see if you can really put in legwork. Gonna see if you can muscle up without the roids. Gonna find out what you really say without the noise. Are you gonna fight for your fam or be a cowboy? Are you the roar of a lion without the power jaws? You really gotta find out who you are, who you are then. You really gotta find out what you're calling. Can't fake who you are when times get hard. thinking, who am I? I'm ready for whatever, if it's do or die. Can I decipher the line between the truth and lies? Can I give the world the real me when spitting through this mic? Can I lead my people through the new world order lockdown? Can I show restraint when people begging to be knocked out? When they force the vaccine, am I ready just to opt out? Am I ready to put fist in the air or to be shot down? Trapped in isolation, trying to grow my wealth, feeling scrutinized every time I go buy milk. Psychological or even biological warfare can't change the world we're in unless I know myself. Being trapped inside this bunker beats becoming a statistic. I'm an introvert, I think I heard I've always been the misfit. This is my shot, projectile, ballistics, to show the world that everything that's happening I predicted. Can I see the future or just mathematic patterns with precision and balance? Like I'm autistic through atoms and molecules. Electrons jump until they're scattered through the universal consciousness. Examine, I challenge each of you to let go of your ego. Tell me who you are, my astral travels through the stars. I've tuned the heart, and through this art I channel you my purpose in life. And through the bars, hope to teach you will never be slaves, cause you are gods. You really gotta find out who you are, who you are then. You really gotta find out what you're calling. Can't fake who you are when times get hard. Take heed the warning. We're gonna find out who you are then.
Well,
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above, abstract.
Rise Above, we're back. How good was that? Literally, how good was that? I think like I haven't actually listened to that song yet. Before that played just then, I've heard some of JD's other tunes. I hadn't heard that one. How good was that? Dude's in good shape as well. That's the kind of shape I was in before Rise Above. I'm not exaggerating either. Anyone knows me. I was in well good shape before Rise Above. Before I devoted over a year of my life to sitting at the console and bringing you this. Welcome back, Magix. Magix will tell everyone I was in shape like JD before this happened. Get rid of that, right? I don't want to overload my computer.
That tune's really sick.
Mate,
that's the first tune of his I've heard. I'll be honest. That's the first tune of his I've heard.
Is it?
I follow him on Facebook and I'll watch what he's talking about.
Have you seen some of his activism? Have you seen him on the
what
street?
I follow him with all that stuff. I haven't followed him. I followed him.
Powerful dude, mate. Powerful dude.
Yeah, man.
Physically and metaphysically, mate. I've seen him in confrontations with people, and he keeps his cool, but he's very powerful. Trust me. Impressed. Yeah, I'm quite excited to have a chat with the guy.
Yeah, well, I think what he's communicating with that track or that song is about the test of nerve that all of this apocalypse is bringing to everybody in different ways. Everybody's being tested. And I think we're really going to go into it from September. So I've been trying my best to help everybody prepare for the test of nerve. Because that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be a waiting game.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. My mental fortress is tall. It's very tall.
Well, on that subject of test of nerve, I'll mention about some interactions that I've had. So there's a couple of people. I'll just mention one. There's somebody I know who said they wasn't going to get speared, and then I bumped into them. I think it was yesterday, and they said that they'd been double speared, and I was like, "Oh, why?" They said, "Well, because
what happened?
They wanted a season ticket to see a football team."
Really?
Yeah. But what made it worse? I mean, I don't know if I should have done this, but I showed them the exemption from the government website, which the look on their face was kind of priceless, but it was also quite sad.
Buyer's remorse. We've talked about this before, haven't we?
Yeah, well, I've been saying to Mrs. Inner Guardians, we need to walk around with those pocket tissues, because I think we're going to need a lot of them to give to people that are going to have buyer's remorse.
I agree, mate.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I think but here's the problem. Here's something I've sort of like been envisaging and possibly witnessing. I'm not sure yet, but I think obviously some people with this buyer's remorse will be activated to join our camp, but the others, right? The others that will internalize that buyer's remorse and they'll actually externalize it as a further double effort into compliance with the Soviet Union, but not just the compliance. It will be the demonization of the non-compliers.
Yeah.
That's where the energy will come from, I believe, metaphysically. It will come from those who cannot accept that they've made a mistake, possibly the worst mistake they could possibly make. And they will internalize it. And like I say, they will externalize it as hatred towards people that didn't make the mistake. And even more so for people that vocally didn't make the mistake and people that vocally foretold what would happen to people who did make the mistake.
Yeah, well, this is why we're going to hit a very critical moment. I've been predicting around about September, October time, and I think it boils down to those behind all of this. They can't. It's going to be really difficult for them to allow those that have not been speared to go through this winter and be the ones that are okay, because it completely defeats their narrative. So this is why they're getting desperate, and I actually think they're losing. This is why they're pulling out different cards and they're spending, heavily investing financially in sort of tricking and twisting the arms of people to get it done. Because if we go into this season, winter season, and those that are double speared get ill and those that are not don't, then that's proof positive. That's proof positive.
Yeah, well, yeah, the proof will literally be in the Soviet pudding this winter, in the Soviet Christmas pudding, when you sat around the dinner table and the conversation between the speared and the non-speared will actually elucidate the truth about who's been ill. Thomas Sheridan, this guy who I've been talking about, who I want to get on the show, he made a post earlier on Facebook that was along the lines of like, it's evident that quite a lot of people are actually getting pretty ill right now. And, he said, the way he put it is it was a work of the mass needlecraft. He calls it needlecraft, which I particularly like. I think that's really good. He calls it, that's just what he calls it, the universal needlecraft.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, no, the universal needlecraft, the restrictions, the mask wearing, the lockdowns, the multifaceted assault on everyone's immune system has actually taken a seasonal illness, disease / virus and weaponized it into a monster. These are his words.
Yeah. Plus the health anxiety, because the mind can actually make your body ill.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, it's like a self-sustaining collective illusion, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you want to keep believing you're ill, eventually you will be.
Yeah, psychophysical.
Psychophysical, like that.
Yeah, and that also, for those who know anything about placebo effects, it's the same thing. It's just the other way around. You can get better through the mind, but equally you can get ill through the mind. I would say that most illnesses are caused by a mental starting point and stress, anxiety.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's okay. I'm exempt. So let's flip it around. If that's true, yeah. If I wake up every morning and just say, and I chant my mantras, and I have a deeper understanding that I'm actually exempt from any of this psychophysical illness that's going around, could that actually work as a metaphysical prophylactic? And a prophylactic, if anyone doesn't know what it is, it's like a preventative medicine.
Potentially,
I believe I've got that right anyway.
Potentially, but you've got to be careful of the language, because exemption is it can be a negative, because you're going away from something, you're not going towards something. So I'm just trying to think of the word that would be a positive version.
So I'm exempt from psychophysical propaganda. I was thinking about for this festival for me and Marcus Spitter. I know he's watching. I hope he's still watching. I was thinking about getting some t-shirts printed, just black t-shirts with like just everything exempt or exempt everything. I don't know which way round it would be, which would be better. Because I always made a point, right? And I said it on air, so I've got to do it. I said, if I get to play at this festival, because I thought they're not even going to book me now because of Rise Above. That's what I assumed. And I said, if I can get on stage without doing the caveat step, then I am going to make a point. I have to make a point. So I reckon a T-shirt would be a good way to start. Just big letters, everything exempt. What does everyone think? Let me know in the comment section.
Well, can I mention something? It's going to be
absolutely. No. You've got some plugging to do, haven't you? I've got a video queued up.
Oh, which one?
It's the promotional video. Did you want the other one first?
No. I was going to talk about something completely different, actually.
Mate, it's an open forum. Talk about whatever you want. I've just let you know I've got those videos queued up when you want to plug your new podcast and the amazing services which you're offering. For anyone that doesn't know, right, Inner Guardians, he might be great to listen to on the show. You might love his videos on his channel as well. Little did you know, you can actually have private one-on-one intuition with him in person or online, and he's going to tell you a little bit about that coming up, I think.
Yeah, a bit later, but okay. Right now I need to put out a warning, so everybody sit down.
Go for it.
Sit down. Make sure your feet are on the ground and hold on to your seat. We're going to go a little bit metaphysical. Right, so last Friday the sheep farm guys mentioned about parasites.
Yes.
And that they talk inside your mind, and they're actually controlled by either people or entities on the other side. So these voices are coming externally. They're not hallucinations. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's a microcosm. Now, if you look at it from the macrocosm version, so that would mean that this narrative is implanting the stories, the voices of the narrative inside everybody's minds as a collective. So the same way that you would do a type of exorcism on an individual with regards to unplugging these parasites, there needs to be a way of doing it as a collective. So as an example, right, I generally don't engage in terms of fighting what's taking place right now on the physical level, because I'm generally operating on the non-physical. So when let's say, for instance, I have an interaction with some form of authority. Yeah, I speak to them on a level as a human to human, but at the same time or simultaneously, I'm communicating with whatever plugin has connected to them and is giving them their commands or their orders. So what that would look like is when I disconnect that plug for them, they then go through like a schism or glitch, and then it's almost like they I wouldn't say wake up, but they're a bit lost. And then you can kind of play around with them, because these parasites will lead somebody somewhere with a narrative, and then when you unplug them, the person doesn't know how they got there. Does that make sense? So
it leaves like the feeling of an open socket after a plug has been pulled out. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. There's something missing, but that you didn't know wasn't a part of you in the first place. Yeah. So what I'm trying to describe is this narrative. It's creating parasites or plugins to the population. Now, people will accept them or not. Some people will have them willfully, and some people will have them without asking for it. Those ones are very easy to unplug. I mean, of course, the ones that are in on it, then they're very difficult to unplug. But you've got to kind of visualize what it would look like. So if you imagine somebody has like a sphere around them, and there's like parasite or worms that are plugged in to their sphere of, say, I don't know, 1 meter, 1.5, 2 meters sphere. So once they plug in, they can then influence that person and literally speak to them and give them orders. So I'm suggesting that this whole thing is totally occulted and is being perpetrated by people that have set up these parasites on the population.
And this is why.
Shit. Oh shit. Wait a minute.
And this is why when you speak to people, you cannot convince them, because for as long as they're plugged in to that stream of information or data, they literally, they can't. Nothing else exists apart from that narrative. But once you unplug them, then they don't know where they are, and they don't even know how they got there. It's almost like a type of memory loss. Now, I do this on a day-to-day basis, and because I spent many years studying these practices, and people that are with me, they'll witness it. So when I interact with certain people, especially anything from the authority or anybody, I don't even want to say person, because they're not people, because you're not communicating with a person, you're communicating with the parasite.
The agent Smith.
Yeah, so you've got physical agents, you've got non-physical agents, and the non-physical agents can attach themselves or will attach themselves, and they'll operate and they'll give commands. Now, until you can break or unplug those, then you're dealing with a person that's pretty much a dead entity, and they're just parroting whatever the parasite is saying. And this is the definition of a metaphysical narrative on or mass psychosis on a population. So if you've got to start looking at people, when you have an interaction, you've got to start looking at the person, but also look at what is plugged into them. You know, what is being filtered through into their consciousness.
Now, when you talk about this, you could actually mean something like an ideology. Like, I mean, are you talking about an actual non-physical entity, or like a mind program?
Yeah, but there's degrees of it. So as an example, if somebody is heavily either influenced by a strong parasite or lots of parasites, you almost can't get through to the person, because you're literally speaking to the parasites. Now, this is something that's very important to understand or understand, that the easiest way, and people will attest to me doing this, is you actually start talking to the parasite. Now, this is a test, because if the person can't tell that you're talking to the parasite, it means that there is a parasite there, and the person's no longer there. So, as an example, right, I don't do any like magic rituals or spells or words or anything like that. You talk to them as the same way you talk to a person that you don't like, or somebody that you're challenging. So, for instance, I've had people come to me acting all kind of strange, and I'll say to them, "Who are you?" And that's the first question. Now, depending on how they answer, or if they don't answer, you then take it a step further. Who are you? Tell me who you are. What is your name? And you have to speak to them in that way. It has to be very direct. And quite often, the parasite, once it's been exposed and it knows you're talking to it, it will jump out. It will go away. And then the person that was in front of you will actually present themselves in a slightly different way. They'll be a lot more fluid. So then you can actually talk sense to them. And this is the art of influence with people. But first, you've got to go through the process of unplugging whatever it is. You're going to have like a main parasite. So as an example, if somebody's got, say, 8 parasites on them, when they come to you, it will be the chief parasite that will communicate to you in any given subject. And then when the person speaks to somebody else, it could be another parasite. But all you got to do is call out the parasite. But you don't say, you don't need to stand there and say, you've got parasites. I'm going to speak to your parasite. No, you just say, who are you?
But surely some level of this would have to be conceptual from the point of view of the person. Or are you saying that if you've got the power to do this, as soon as you address the parasite, the other person their altar would be put back?
Yeah, because they're in a trance anyway.
Oh, what? They have to be entranced in the first place?
No. When somebody's controlled by a parasite, they're already in a trance.
Oh, wait a minute. Haven't I witnessed you sort of do this digitally to someone?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got a working example now. I remember when you did that to that person.
Yeah. Now, what you got to remember, we all have parasites. Now, with myself, I remove them on a daily basis. The same way I shave, the same way I wash. It's a daily cleansing. Now, for people that have no understanding of this, they're completely covered in parasites. Those, I would suggest those that are, say, watching this show or are interested in these subjects have probably got less parasites than the average person. And they've probably done a bit of self work on themselves anyway to remove them. Now, the other thing you have to watch out for is that when you're presented with a person, one of their parasites could actually jump onto you.
Like a tick jumping from one dog to another.
Yeah. So this is what you got to watch out for, and this is why you've got to be very aware. So, for instance, if somebody approaches you and you have a sudden change of mood, or you sense something's changed, then there's a high possibility that a parasite's jumped onto you. But
I've certainly encountered people that have parasites. Very noticeable when you know what to look for.
Yeah, and like I say, we have them ourselves. We all have them, but it's a case of how you manage them. So I would, you call them out to yourself. This is why I talked about psychological prayer. If everybody was doing the psychological prayers, then there'll be a lot less parasites, or a lot less influence of the parasites.
Right, I want to nail you down on this, right? Because I've had some questions, I've had some emails, that particularly about this, about what can actually be done. And let's go into some detail now. Why not? About ridding yourselves of parasites. When you're saying one of these, did you just say a metaphysical prayer?
No, it's psychological.
A psychological prayer.
Yeah, because what it is, they tap into these parasites. They go into the mind. The mind then is connected to the emotions. So the mind will kind of create situations for negative emotions, and then once the negative emotions come out, the parasite feeds on the energy of the negative emotions. But it's done through the mind. So psychological prayer is important. When I say psychological prayer, I'm talking sort of like a inner objective communication with your own mind.
So let me conceptualize like an inner narrative statement of intent. Yeah? You're speaking directly to the voice within you, and you're making some bargains. You're setting some rules, some parameters, some goals. You're laying down the law.
Yeah. So the way it kind of works is, right, it's the parasites give birth ideas in the mind. The mind's connected to the emotions, so then you start to feel something, and then the feelings leads to action. So everything starts with an idea. So it could be, building something. It all started with an idea. Then you got the feeling for it, and the emotions for it, and then the physical body builds it. And that's I
was going to say, we've got a question here on the screen from Jack Spratt. And Jack Spratt, welcome to Rise Above. I haven't seen you before here, mate. I'm pretty sure I haven't anyway, so welcome to the table. He says, what are the signs in the host? What would be the marker signs before a practitioner like yourself, Master Lee, would be in a position where you would actually feel comfortable to talk straight to the parasite? What would you look out for? What would be the signs which would give you that confidence to go, who are you? And to know that the person wouldn't turn around and go, you know who I am. You've been talking to me for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you've got to be quite subtle, and you've got to be careful. I mean,
No shit, you've got to be careful if you try and call someone out for having a metaphysical parasite inside them.
Yeah, well, you can do it in two ways, right? You can do it vocally, or you can actually do it non-vocally. So while you're talking to them, you can mentally project, who are you? What do you want? So it doesn't have to be necessarily like a physical conversation. So as an example, I will speak to somebody physically in terms of talking, but also psychologically, I'll talk to the parasites and get rid of them.
And when you say psychologically, do you mean like actually like with the power of your mind, or do you mean actually laying down a second layer of narrative within the words that you're speaking, so you could actually speak in a double layered level of meaning Like one level to the person, one level to the parasite. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it could be both. I could also create a conversation where I would actually tell them, but I would kind of camouflage it in a way that it could be funny. I could maybe insinuate something, or there's many different ways, but you don't need to necessarily speak. I mean, it's far quicker if you can walk up to somebody and say, "Who are you? What do you want? Go away."
You'd have to be pretty sure to do that. And I guess that is not something that you would do quite regularly to people that find a parasite.
No, that would be in extreme circumstances. So if somebody approaches you and they're being overtly aggressive, not necessarily physically aggressive, but psychologically aggressive, or if they're under the influence. I mean, that's a common one. If somebody's under the influence, that's the easiest time to call out parasites.
Oh, we've got a good one, and big up Magix. He's actually doing a bit of producer work on the other. See, we need this, Magix, right? Because I don't want to be looking. Yeah, right. You're on it. You pull up the question. This is from Mrs. Inner Guardians. Lance, ask Lee to tell the story about the guy in the park. I was witnessing it on the phone. It was like two completely different people talking to Lee. You right to talk about that?
Yeah. I was just walking through the park one day, and then this guy started shouting at me. I couldn't really understand what he was saying, so I walked over to him because I thought he was in trouble. And he started being very abusive for no reason, absolutely no reason. And he was stood in front of me, and I just thought, this guy is seriously infested with parasites. So I just said to him, "Who are you?" And he sat down. And then I said, "What do you want?" And then he kind of looked at the ground, and then I said, "Get away." And the guy started crying, and he burst into tears, and then he, from being very aggressive verbally, he then started crying and started telling me about how his wife had left him. He hadn't seen his daughter for 2 years, and that he had a drink problem. He actually had a drink with him in his pocket. And he didn't know who he was.
Powerful.
Yeah, he didn't know. He didn't know how he got to the park, and he didn't even know that he said anything to me. That was the parasite doing it. It took over him. But that's an extreme case.
Wow.
I suppose when you throw substance abuse in the mix, it really they say that the reason that alcohol sounds alcohol, spirits.
Yeah.
Spirits. What's the strongest alcohol? It's called spirits. Why?
Yeah.
Here's one from John G. Signs of a parasite attachment are addiction to different things like spicy food, for example, or drugs.
Yeah.
Shit, my parasite really likes weed.
Well, right. So
my parasite must be a Rasta.
Right. So as an example, parasites can actually be deceased persons. Okay. Now it could be somebody that hasn't been able to move on because they were
disembodied souls.
Well, yeah, they'd basically been savaged by parasites themselves, so it left them kind of self-slaughtered, and they're not able to move on. So all they can do is cling on to whatever they enjoyed in this realm. So they just hang around, and as soon as they can find an attachment to a person that may be able to offer them a self-calming or a slight pleasure, then they'll jump on them, and then they'll create an addiction to whichever substance. And it could be anything. It could be tea, coffee, cigars, cigarettes. It's generally stuff that people find comfortable. So whatever people generally gravitate towards that brings comfort, equally, people that have not been able to move on, they'll hang around trying to find those comforts as well.
Do you know something really interesting that I found out about substance abuse? There was an island, I believe in Southeast Asia, where there was a colony, not a big island. Tourists went there, and it was an all-inclusive holiday destination, primarily massive one. So there's lots of half-drunk drinks, because when you go to an all-inclusive and you're pissed, you take a couple of sips of the drink, and as soon as you put it down, the ice is melted. Get a fresh one. They use loads of ice. long story short, this monkey colony, which was quite isolated, so it's very good to study, but there's a few thousand monkeys. The monkeys developed a drink problem by minesweeping all the drinks, and there was a lot of minesweeping to be done. Yeah, there's plenty of drinks around. Now, what they found was, within the monkeys, there were different groups. Some were teetotal, they didn't drink at all. Some had tried drinking in their adolescence and left it alone. Some drank moderately. Some drank very heavily. And some drank themselves to death. But the most interesting thing was that the ratio in which the monkeys had a good relationship or an abusive relationship with the alcohol was in exactly the same ratios as humans.
Mm.
Make of that what you will. I don't know what to make of it, but I thought it was very interesting. You know, arguably we're closest to primates out of the whole animal kingdom. Even if you don't believe in Darwinism.
Yeah.
So,
well, psychological or metaphysical parasites, they are on animals as well as humans. They're pretty much in anything.
Keep the comments coming up, Magic. So let's have all the good comments on the screen. Yeah, I just thought that was very interesting because it's like, you know, monkeys haven't really been exposed to alcohol in any level, so it was a very good study. But yeah, there's roughly the same ratios. You know, because some people are teetotal, some people drink themselves to death, some people drink socially, some people use it as a social crutch, some people are alcoholics.
Let me just add this. So once you're clear of parasites or plugins or implants, that's when your intuition will start to expand. So somebody that lacks intuition will be somebody that's heavily implanted. That's why, for instance, if there's something on the news and the mainstream media, one person will take it literally and the other person can look at it and laugh at it and see through it.
You say like the parasite could actually filter their perception.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they say that basically, like, when we... Who's saying I seem nervous? Are you okay? I seem nervous. Who's that? JT. Why do I seem nervous? What are you talking about? Yeah, like, they say that 70% of what you take in through your eyes and ears of the outside world, the media, etc., is basically filtered up to 60-70% by personal belief. Whether that's your religion, your political persuasion, etc., etc. My parasite loves the vag as well. Whoever's just said that, Steve B. Yeah. Oh, we've got some. Oh, Magic's has just told me who we've got some haters in the comment section and who they may be from. Oh yeah, that would make sense. Why is someone going to say I'm nervous? Okay, I get it. That makes sense. Yeah, I'll just say it. Yeah, they sound like overkillers. Apparently, I'm an FBI shill, and I seem a bit nervous on camera. Most people think I'm arrogant and overconfident, so if I seem nervous, that's a happy medium.
The other thing you have to be very careful of is once you understand this type of science, objective science, you can actually, and you got to be really careful, because this is where, like, the power of intent or thought projection, you can actually, you know, give somebody a very hard time by projecting parasites onto them, or casting parasites off of one person and putting them onto somebody else. And this is what the dark occultists and the magicians play around with. This is what we're up against.
Yeah, and they understand how parasites work, how they can be installed.
Yeah, this is why I don't fear anybody, because if they're going to give me such a hard time, they're just going to get implanted, and they'll probably end up in a lunatic asylum if they're not careful. This is personal protection as well. Yeah, I've got defense mechanisms in place. If anybody tries to harm me, then it doesn't matter. They could be on the other side of the world.
Tony Boney says, parasite, aka demon possession. Have they turned people into walking Ouija boards? A walking Ouija board. That's good. I like that. Maybe in a metaphysical way, that's what people have become. Portals to these parasitic entities. So when they're living out their life, when they're contributing to the aggregated, manifested reality, yeah, Well, what's actually contributing? Is it them or is it the actions of the parasite? Sanchez UK, he says Darwin's cousin Francis Galton invented eugenics in the 1800s. Then Julius Huxley also rebranded it as transhumanism after World War II stigma. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think we had a question earlier on. What do we think of Russell Brand? I'll end that quickly. We don't think much of him. I don't know why I just brought that up. It's because there was Russell someone. The Matrix is real says, I like to mediate. I think that's meant to say meditate. And to fast, which helps to clear and balance me. Yeah, absolutely. Fasting is great. Meditation is essential, whichever way you get there and you do it. I think when we finally get Inner Guardians down to the HQ and we make this video out in the field, we're going to do some breathing techniques and some meditation out in nature, right? Inner Guardians. What's happened to Inner Guardians? Are you still there? Is it just me? All right, it's just me talking.
Oh, we lost him.
Well, he's still there. Oh no!
I can't see him on my screen.
No. He jumped out. Inner Guardians, you're back.
Yeah, no, I got booted just at the critical point when I was going to say something.
Oh right, because I just carried on talking.
No,
and I went and I was like, Inner Guardians. And I was like, where has he gone? What were you just about to say?
When I was explaining that once you get to a certain level of understanding of how it works, you're offered protection. So when people come to harm you, either physically or psychologically, or even on social media, and it can be from the other side of the realm, they have to be very, very careful. And this is why I don't fear anybody. I have no fear of anybody, whether they're at the door or whether they're trying to do stupid things from a distance, because I've got protection.
Preparation.
Yeah, and this is the definition of metaphysical personal protection. I mean, it's not just me. There's millions of people that have this understanding or understanding. This is why I try my best to encourage people to understand what's going on, what's really taking place, and how things really work, the real objective science of this realm. And we're only operating on like 10%, if that, of our potential.
Imagine what we'd be capable of if we were activating more than that 10%.
Yeah, and it all boils down to unplugging the parasites, getting rid of the parasites, cleansing yourself from the parasites. Every time you get rid of a parasite, your power goes up. So when I if I was to judge somebody, I wouldn't judge them based on money. I wouldn't judge them based on university degrees. I judge them based on their percentage of power.
Yeah, how much of themselves they've mastered, how much of themselves they've activated of their own inner potential. Big up Francis Leader, that's in the comment section. She wrote an excellent article about the current situation, the underlying precursor UN situation that explains what's going on in Afghanistan, which I shared on Facebook today. I'm actually going to put that article in the Telegram because it's so good. Because we're going to be talking a little bit about Afghanistan coming up as well. Sorry to interject there, Master Lee.
Yeah, no, she made a comment about guides rather than parasites. Yeah, I mean, you can call them whatever you want. In terms of protection, I mean, I've got my own words that I use, my own language that I use. She mentions I prefer to think of I have guides, not parasites. Yeah, well, as an example, if you haven't got guides, what's going to fill the place? It's going to be parasites. So every time you get rid of the parasites, you get a guide or a guardian.
So what we could be saying here is that not all non-physical entities which attach themselves to us are parasites.
No. You've got guardians. You've got guides.
Here's a good one. I was writing a lyric this week, which is hopefully will be finished for Friday, and I'll elucidate it to everyone at the start of the show. A new bar which talks about everything we've been doing, etc. And when I was looking for words that rhyme with parasite, I came across this word, and I've never heard it before, because I use this sort of like advanced rhyming dictionary when I get really stuck. Try not to use it too much. It's called aerophyte, or an arrowphyte. Aerophyte. And I looked it up, and guess what it is? It is the opposite of a parasite. It's a creeping plant that has a beneficial symbiotic relationship with the other plants that it creeps on, and it's not parasitic. And it was one of the best words that rhymes with parasite, and I managed to get it in the bar. So yeah, you could say that you have aerophytic or aerophytic entities attached to you, which are symbiotic, which are offer guardianship. That's where I was going with this point. I was getting really detailed about something, and sometimes I forget why I was telling the story. It's really annoying. But no, that's why. Because, we shouldn't assume that everything that attaches itself to us metaphysically is malevolent.
No. I mean,
or is energy draining.
Everything has an opposite. And also the parasites, what they're designed to do is they cut you off. They decapitate you from your higher self. So this is why people with a lot of parasites, they lack intuition. So your typical narcissist, your typical psychopath, your typical cluster B personality disorder will lack intuition along with empathy. This is a very so somebody asked the question, how can you tell if somebody's got parasites? Well, if they lack empathy, if they lack intuition. And this is why people of that ilk are very easy to actually defeat. You can run circles around them because they lack imagination, lack creativity, they lack empathy, and they also lack intuition.
Robotic, very predictable. This is I've said this in my speeches. Like, that is the nature of the parasite. It's very methodical. It's very effective. It's very direct. It's like an insect. It's the way an insect hive works.
Yeah.
But you know exactly what it's going to do every single time when you understand what it does. Pretty much. The MO never changes by more than a couple of degrees because it has no level of creativity. It can only subvert, infiltrate, replicate, and invert. There's no creation. It doesn't create.
Yeah, and this is why they're very easy to defeat. The only problem you've got is that they operate on numbers and volume. So their objective will be to get as many of the population under mass psychosis. So you're dealing with it's a numbers game for them. That's all it is. That's the only power they have. Remember, they're fundamentally horizontalists, so they spread themselves left, right, as wide as they can. So you're dealing with, it's kind of like a numbers thing that you're dealing with. And but in terms of being an individual and having imagination, creativity, this is what they lack. All they can do is harvest natural, organic creativity and imagination from those who are not parasitically driven. So these shows like X Factor, what you're actually seeing displayed there is a panel that lack imagination, creativity, especially the main chief behind that, and he's harvesting. So all those entertainers that go on stage, that's a massive ritual where he's harvesting the creativity from these innocent people.
Yeah, because literally on a physical level, that's what he's going to do, like monetarily. Like, he's literally going to make as much money off them as he possibly can and pay them as little as he possibly can.
Yeah,
and he's actually going to parasite as much physical energy from them as possible and creative energy.
Yeah, and he can't sing, he can't dance, he can't write music, he can't play an instrument. He pretty much...
He's a very good parasite, though.
Exactly, yeah. So when I watch the X Factor, to me, that's a 3D manifestation of what we're talking about. So these poor kind of victims will go on the stage, put their heart and soul into their creativity, only to be harvested.
Yeah, from the big fat worm. Yeah, I talk about the parasite quite a lot in this lyric. I'm really looking forward to. I'll do it in the intro to Friday's show. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to doing it. I'm not gonna let it. I put it in the group chat earlier on, but I've never spat before to anyone, and it's all about the parasite. So
yeah. And can I just add about the contracts? So every time you sign a contract, you're adding a parasite to your torus field, your atmosphere.
Be careful what you sign.
Yeah, and you have to break the contract. So even if you do sign it, because you've only signed it under duress or you've been tricked into it, you need to break it psychologically. And this, because the parasites require a form of consent, the same way vampires.
Mate, that's one of my favourite like little sayings in the last 18 months. I've said it in videos. I said it to Andy PG. I was like, watch any film about a vampire. Watch any, especially Dracula. You know, the lead parasite. Dracula never ever busts through the window. He doesn't kick the door down. He doesn't forcibly enter. You actually have to invite him in. He seduces you. You actually fall in love with him. But Dracula doesn't just go around ripping people's necks open. He fully seduces the person first.
Yeah, and this is what we're seeing take place on a massive population level. And remember, it all goes back to consent, and exactly what you're talking about with the exemption. You can just
so exemption is basically like hanging a big string of garlic around your neck, and just having a few wooden stakes on your belt just in case.
Well, that's what I call the lanyard. I call that like a string of garlic.
Oh, I've got a good idea now. I've been thinking about producing a Rise Above lanyard for a while, and it doesn't have to be to have an exemption card on it, because I don't even want to encourage people to have exemption passes. I certainly don't want to make money off it. I thought it would just be nice as like a joke. We could have Rise Above on one side, and maybe when you flip it over, it could have just prints of onions or garlic on the other side.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a card. Just wear this like really snazzy, nice Rise Above lanyard, and just point. I've got my garlic. Don't worry.
I just
want parasites coming here.
I just want to add as well, because this is a very important subject, and trying to explain it is quite tricky for me. Now, what I've just explained has been explained in many different ways, in many different cultures, in many different religions, and many different philosophies. Now, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get to the quickest way of explaining a subject. So I could have loaded it with lots of fancy words or Sanskrit or whatever. I've literally broke it down as simple as I can to communicate it as quickly as possible. So you will hear different versions. I mean, I've been in different groups of different versions of the same, because remember, this is objective science. So the mechanism's basically the same. It doesn't matter what part of the world or the realm that you're in or what language you
Universal science.
Yeah. Well, we call it objective science. And so it's pretty much the same, because the mechanisms of somebody in England is the same as the mechanisms of somebody in India, fundamentally. Okay. There's just a few slight differences in terms of cultural appropriation or language. But other than that, we're pretty much the same. And the way that the physical realm works is pretty much the same as the non-physical realm. As above, so below. So there's nothing.
So within.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing too strange about the non-physical world of entities and parasites. It's pretty much the same as what it is here. For the most part, it's pretty much the same. It's just in a slightly different, it's in a different dimension, and you need a different type of perspective to observe it.
Fiery Nessa asks a question: how do I know if I'm communicating with my higher self? I guess she's saying that in the context of rather than a parasite, or maybe I'm jumping the gun there. Have you got any ideas, Master Lee?
Yeah, this is always a tricky question. But as an example, we always say that the first thought was the right one. Yeah. What generally happens is when you think something, a parasite will come in and change your mind.
Right.
Yeah. So your higher self will be the first voice. Now, being able to trust that first voice, and you have got to be careful, because if you're riddled with parasites, then it may not be the first voice. But you have to go through the process, the cleansing process or purification of getting rid of the possibilities of a parasite being the first voice. Your higher self already knows. Now, once you cleanse yourself, and when your power goes up, when I say your power goes up, it doesn't necessarily mean that you become like a superhero or anything. It just means that your ability to listen to yourself, listen to your higher self, becomes more lucid, there's more clarity, and you're able to use the natural senses that you've already got. And
yeah, trusting the inner senses.
yeah, it's like, how do you explain somebody when you know something's not quite right? How do you explain that? You know, you get a feeling that something's
It's an
not
intangible thing, isn't it?
right. Yeah. But the more work you do, but the priority is that you get rid of these parasites. And we've also got to remember, every time you get rid of, I was told that every time you get rid of one parasite, another 7 will come.
It was to come back to the number 7. So yeah, Fari Netta says, yeah, it was in the context of a parasite. So yeah, there's your answer. Trust the first voice that comes, that feels like the first answer before the parasite questions, I guess, is what I could sort of put that into a nutshell.
Yeah, because one of the symptoms of parasites is that it creates doubt, hesitation, fear. Yeah. So if you're filled with doubt, hesitation, and fear, chances are you're listening to parasites as opposed to your higher self.
So you could say that, like, in the face of adversity, when you're faced with a potentially dangerous situation, or an uncertainty, should we say, maybe the first voice that gives you what you sort of you innerly know, you understand, is the most courageous but potentially most risky option. And then it's always the doubt and the fear, which might choose the most easily gratifying option in the short term. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Because I guess the parasite would always choose short-term gratification over, sacrifice and long-term prosperity.
Well, not necessarily, because they can play the long game. They can actually appear to be benevolent and quite friendly. So what the ultimate goal of the parasite will be is to induce surprise. Okay, so first you'll have a sense of doubt, hesitation, fear, and then the end result will be surprise. Because you know what? Once they've got what they want from you, they'll leave you hanging. And you'll hear lots of accounts of people saying, I don't know why I did it. And they could be sat in jail for 20 years. Something took over, something told me to do it, or something took over. Or on a lower level, we all have this situation where we're like, how the fuck did I end up in this situation? It could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be any form of decision making. The end result will be, once the parasite leaves you, you'll kind of be like, wow, how did I end up in this position? This is not what I wanted.
That's what the parasite wanted.
Yeah, you feel used, because basically the parasite has taken you down a certain path, used you for whatever it needs, and then as soon as trouble comes, it will just leave you.
There's a question a second ago which I've just got off the screen from there it is. Human being loved. What are the parasites? How are they made? Can we go into where they come from? How can we describe them?
Yeah, well, this can be quite complex, but they can be created. Anybody can create a parasite. It's called a thought form. Anybody can do it, and we all do it all the time. So let me do it a different way. So let's talk about nice parasites. So when it's somebody's birthday, everybody sends them cards, gives them flowers, presents, best wishes. That's a positive thought form, and it alters the state of a person. So that would be a created opposite to a parasite. We do it all the time, don't we? It's natural, to have kind wishes or thoughts for somebody that will be projecting good things. Well, equally, it can be done in a negative way. So you could have negative thought projections. And this is why when I teach the exercise of transforming these projections, that we need to be very, very careful whatever enters our atmosphere, that we're able to identify them, spot them, and redirect them. A lot of the time you can't fight them. they're going to come into your atmosphere. You just direct them, or you just use a language of like, get out of here. I don't want you. You call them out the same way that you would do in normal conversations or situations. Now, what are they and where are they from? Well, it's commonly or generally known that they're artificial, they're synthetic. Depending on which kind of ideology or philosophy that you go with, some will say that they were inserted into this realm as part of the denying force. So they're like agents of the denying force on a non-physical.
Or drones or bots.
Yeah. So
Are we talking about the same things like demons?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and also you've got like spirits. You've got the spirit of a person. So if somebody didn't develop a soul and they die, there's a chance that they may just have the spirit lingering around.
But going back to the synthetics thing, okay, so I can understand that disembodied souls that attach themselves to the living to carry on feeding off the loosh, or the energy harvesting that's going on metaphysically from the third to the lower fourth density, however you want to conceptualize it.
Mm-hmm.
But a minute ago you said synthetic. So are you talking about like, let me conceptualize it, right? Let me go full rabbit. One sec.
Nothing like the smell of toasted rabbit in the morning.
Could it be like a dark occult practitioner, a witch doctor, someone that was into voodoo or obia?
Yep.
Yeah. Creating, I love the word, this homunculus idea, a metaphysical being, creating a hex, creating a parasitic hex. Could this be literally, when you say synthetic, let me just crystallize it, could it be like what like it's casting a spell on someone? Yeah.
Well, yeah. On Friday, I gave the analogy of the horse and carriage and the driver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's one for you. This might help people understand or understand. So you've got the driver and you've got the horse. What connects the horse to the driver?
The horse to the driver would be the reins.
Yeah. So the reins would actually be some kind of potentially an implant or a connector or metaphysical connection. So as an example, I could actually create a rein or connection to another person, and then I get to control them. It's kind of obvious when you think about it like that, you know.
Wolfie says here you have to consent to the parasite. Absolutely right, Professor Wolfie the executioner, whatever name you go by now, just Wolfie. Yeah, we talk about consent so much on the show.
Yeah, but I must add to that, right, that the parasites will hang around, and they'll hang around, and they're quite happy to hang around, waiting for the moment of weakness or opportunity for trickery, where you consent.
Yeah, because consent isn't always consensual.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, just come up with that. I like that. Consent isn't always consensual, or not. What's the word? Consciously consensual.
Well, this is what we're going through right now. Think about what's manifesting, right? They're saying that it's optional, it's not mandatory, but then they're going to orchestrate everything to make it mandatory.
Yeah, slowly but surely. Big up Sheep Farm Studios. Yes, we do broadcast on a Wednesday night. Big up Dom and Christian. Everyone check out Sheep Farm Studios. Pleasure to have them on last week.
Are they in the chat, yeah?
Yes, they are.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. We've been talking about some of the elucidations from Friday's show. You might want to rewind and listen back, or another time.
Yeah, like I say, they brought up a subject last Friday, something that I'm very, very much into. And I'd not listened to that conversation they had with Jerry. I can't remember his surname, the American...
Jerry Mazinski.
That's it, yeah, the American psychotherapist guy. And it's pretty much exactly what I was taught regarding the way it works. And it's not a hallucination. And something that was quite interesting, because I've experienced this myself. I've been in a room where potentially somebody's had an hallucination, but it couldn't have been a hallucination because the other person saw the same thing.
Me too.
Yeah, a hallucination can only be seen by one person.
Yes.
Technically.
I've conducted ceremonies where 3 or 4 people have had exactly the same visions.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. And they've all come round and told me straight away.
Yeah.
So I know it's not hallucinations.
Yeah. Now, where it gets interesting is when you broaden that out to the macrocosm and what's taking place right now.
Yeah.
What they're using is ancient forms of magic and spells, voodoo.
This is hardcore rabbit right now.
You could never defeat me. I have the special skill of the liquid metal rabbit.
Sorry.
And anybody that says to me that I talk a lot of rubbish and that it's nonsense, well,
Guarantee it's not.
yeah, well, the powers that, or those that have asserted the powers that shouldn't be, that's what they believe in, and that's what they're using right now.
Yeah. Whether we believe in it or this is something I've said for years, way before the COVID union happened, right? Dark occultism, symbology, gematria, the understanding of sacred geometry, astrology. Doesn't matter if you believe in it or not, they do.
Yeah.
Now, there's that other great quote: millionaires don't care about astrology, but billionaires care about it a great deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And those people that always kind of poo-poo this type of thing will quite often be the ones that will be bewildered or confused.
The first victims of it.
Yeah.
Would this be a good time, as we're approaching 2 hours, just over, got another half an hour, to do a little plug of your personal protection stuff, or I just go and grab a drink? I can play the video.
Yeah, sure. Which video are you going to do?
The video of you looking really cool stood against the wall. I can start with that. Or do you want me to start with the other one?
No, well, the other one is me teaching students intuition.
Okay, well, we'll start with this because this advertises your services, and then we can go on to that one. Yeah?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
All right, one sec. Okay, so it's very short, and when I just go and grab a drink, I'll just let Inner Guardians elucidate to exactly what you can offer in. I'll just let it play again. There you go. Carry on. Go for it, Inner Guardians.
Right, yeah, so Critical Performance was actually founded in 2000, so it's like 21 years ago. I did actually rebrand it this year. It was called Combat Performance. I changed the word into Critical Performance because I realized we're now in a critical situation and that people need to learn not only the metaphysical side of protection, but also the physical side and survival. So when I'm teaching personal protection, it's not just about kicking and punching and stuff like that, or self-defense per se. It actually includes some of the metaphysical stuff and the survival aspects. And that can be anything from being able to climb, to build a fire, to jump correctly, to hide, to become invisible, and many things like this. It's a big subject, but I'm predicting that we're going to go through very difficult times, and psychologically we need to be strong, and we need to have the ability to be able to stand there in the face of adversity, because it's going to be a test of nerve and consent in many different ways. Everybody's going to be slightly different. Some people are going to glide through. Some people will probably be able to hide and never be seen again and live happily ever after. But I think for the most part, most of us are going to have a struggle. And this is part of the whole game.
Yeah. The struggle provides the catalyst for psychological, spiritual progression as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So see it as an opportunity. So I always add the word possibility at the end of, or possibilities at the end of my personal protection mantras. So personal protection gives you possibilities, or the lack of personal protection limits your possibilities and your potential. So these are very important things to understand and understand. One of the key things is intuition, and this is something that's been literally decimated in the population. The ability to have any form of intuition, and we can see this like on a day-to-day basis. A lot of our friends and family just can't see what's going on. It's purely because they lack intuition. Now, I would say years ago, people's intuition was a lot stronger, or the closer you live to nature or natural life, the more intuition you have. The more the artificial your existence, the less intuition you need, because everything's done mechanically. I generally say to people, go and spend a couple of weeks in a forest or in the woods even, and see how quickly you'll need intuition and how quickly your intuition will develop. But equally, it's important living in the city. You know, the survival skills and the survival intuition is important in the city.
Sorry, I'm getting moaned at. as is married life now, you know, that's how it goes. So we got 15 minutes left. And I'm getting moaned at because obviously, you know, the midweek chat. To be fair to Mrs. Murdoch, the midweek chat started as half an hour. What was that? Should be any speakers on in here. Started as half an hour, then it went to 45 minutes. Then it was an hour. Now we're like we're broaching the 2 hour mark. Hey, I could go all night. Everyone knows that. That's not a euphemism.
Yeah.
So okay. I've also got this video here. Maybe we'll save Afghanistan for Friday.
Yeah.
It's quite a big subject, and I've got a lot to show because I've been doing some digging, especially on what's being shown in the media. Anyway.
Yeah.
Should we show the video of this training? How would you describe this video I'm about to show?
I'll just give it a bit of a preface. So what I teach, and I generally teach people in threes because it creates a triad. So excuse me, what you're about to see is three of the students taking it in turns to be able to detect the intent or the bad intent of a person who's about to attack them from behind. So what you'll see is the first student won't be able to do it, the second student nearly does it, and the third student completely does it. And then once you watch the video, I'll explain briefly how it's...
I will just make the video do this, and then I'll make it big. Okay, here it is. Whoa. So I take it student number 3 was the best student there because, like, his inner tuition, he actually turned around marginally before the knife came out.
Yeah. Now, one of the keys to this is that, of course, you could just turn around and you could say, well, yeah, I knew it was going to come. Well, that's not the point. It needs to be literally a split second before the knife is cast forwards, because that shows that they detected it.
Is this training that you've developed yourself? Sorry to interject.
No, this is ancient training. The samurai, the ninjas, they all practice this. In fact, anything in the wild. In fact, any wild animal has this already. In fact, we have it. It's just that it's been suppressed and decimated.
I suppose special forces and military men would call it the eyes in the back of your head phenomenon.
Yeah.
That they say, you know, some of their compatriots, their brothers in arms, tend to have this thing that, you know, especially special forces, I guess, because they do more, you know, covert work and guerrilla ops and stuff like that. Well, it's not on the battlefield, but, you know, they have the ability to know when someone was about to attack. Because, you know, I come from through my dad and my dad's friends, come from a special forces background. So, you know, I've heard the stories. I've read the books that my dad's friends have written about these stories. You know, about these certain people that had eyes in the back of the head. They had the intuition. They had the ability to to know something was wrong just moments before they're about to get attacked out of nowhere, out of the darkness. No one else could tell. No one else could, could foresee it.
Yeah. Well, everybody's had those moments where you think of somebody and they call you on the telephone. Or you're driving your car and you sing a song, you put the radio on and the song comes on. Yeah. Now, some will say that you're tapping into some kind of field of potential. Others will just say it's the connection of your mind and your emotions, being able to detect action. And then others will say that, for instance, when somebody, and what you got to remember, when we do this training, the person, and this is where it gets tricky, the first person didn't do it. Now, they may not have done it because the person casting the knife may not have had a real intention. So,
okay, so you were saying they're actually picking up on their mental intention rather than the physical action of the hand and the knife.
Yeah, I describe it as the ripples of their atmosphere. So, for instance, if you've got a violent intent, that's going to create a violent ripple in your atmosphere. And this is where, so for instance, in the training of ninjutsu, you better creep up behind somebody and kill them. That means you'd have to have the intent to kill and use violence, but without creating any ripples. So the training goes both ways. It goes for the defender. It also goes for the attacker. So special forces, doing covert stuff, where maybe an assassination, they would have to develop the skills of not projecting or creating ripples in their atmosphere. And this is normally done through relaxation of the intent. We would call it tactical muscular relaxation. Also, you call it the relaxation of your intent. A psychopathic killer could also do this because they've killed so many people that for them, killing somebody is just like drinking a cup of tea. So they wouldn't particularly create any ripples in their intent. So
those people failing tricking a lie detector test is nothing.
Yeah.
Because you can control, you don't give off the signals that everyone else would give when they're knowingly lying or telling a falsehood about a murder, for instance, which is pretty serious. That makes people's heart beat.
Yeah.
Generally.
And this is where dogs can detect bad people, because dogs naturally have this capability of protection. So they can pick up on the projection of somebody's intent. So it could be, and I've had this before, if somebody's just committed a crime and they're walking through the park, my dogs will pick up on the energy that they're projecting, even though they're not committing a crime in that moment. Maybe they've just committed a crime, or they may be thinking bad things that is creating a ripple in their atmosphere, and the dogs can pick up on it. Well, dogs are slightly more intuitive because they're a bit more, they're closer to their natural mechanisms, unlike humans. Now, humans have been domesticated, and this is the problem that we've got right now. We're seeing the attack on the domesticated or farm-like animals, aka humans.
Yes.
And I would say humans devoid of being. A human being is different to a human.
Okay, so which one are the people that are being manipulated? Is that the human beings?
No, that'd be the humans.
The humans, right? Okay.
So the human being.
Yeah. So because the being initiates the preface that there is a sense of how shall I put it?
It's the passenger.
Yeah. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, it's the person sat on the deck chair.
Is that a 3-dimensional or a 4-dimensional deck chair?
Well, this is why, I generally use the term, and maybe I shouldn't, of NPCs. And I say that, I kind of...
It's going to be a hate term soon, mate.
Yeah. Well, the way I define it is that human will lack being. They lack presence. They're just an automaton, a machine, a meat suit without a passenger.
Fertilizer sack.
Yeah, and
it's quite offensive, really, isn't it? Fertilizer sack.
Well, esoterically, we can describe ourselves as UFOs, and we're piloting this meat suit through different dimensions. you know, the body is a vehicle. Whether you want to describe it as a horse and cart or a rocket, it's up to you. Probably
Body is a vehicle more than flesh. Just the first stage of the next step. I've got a lyric for that as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Has
Well,
anybody got any-
we've certainly gone full rabbit tonight. That's for
Yeah.
fucking sure.
Yeah.
Magics? Oh no, he's muted. Well, so yeah, we didn't really talk about Afghanistan, so we'll save that for Friday. But we've covered a lot of ground tonight, and we've really gone in on this theme of parasites. We've actually gone into much more detail in it than we actually planned to, which is absolutely fine. Midweek chat can go any way we like. That's how we do it. But I've got to wrap it up by saying, if you want to get hold of Inner Guardians for any of this training that he's offering, whether it's remotely or in person for the physical training that he's offering with the close protection stuff, critical performance, what's the best way to get hold of you, Inner Guardians?
You can message me. The telephone number's on the YouTube, so you can message me that way. Although I know I've had a few messages this week and I haven't got back to people very quickly, and that's because I've been doing all these podcasts. I spent hours and hours talking to people. So apologies if I haven't got back to anybody this week, but this has been a bit of a weird.
How many podcasts have you recorded?
Well, successfully one, but I've spent hours and hours and hours.
Well, mate, the first time you record something, it's a big thing. I remember doing episode 1 of Rise Above that when it wasn't live, when it was just like me, Andy PG, and Word Nerd, and the amount of we didn't have any idea what we were doing. But yeah, it was a big thing to set up that first show. Massive effort.
Well, what I've been doing like the pre-interviews. So I've been chatting to the guests.
Oh, you're doing it properly. Okay.
Yeah,
You can have a chat with me about Restream, weren't you? You're thinking about using Restream for doing the podcast?
Well, yeah, when we go live, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I can definitely help you with that.
I'm going to wait until episode 5 before we go live because I need to build up an audience. So if everybody can share that channel, like, subscribe, and whatever else you can do, we want to try and get the subscriptions up, and then we're going to start going live so you can actually interact and ask questions. And
the good thing is, I can do what I can do remotely. What Magix does tonight, like moderate the chat room and do the screens for you while you just chat. I can do that from here remotely if you wanted to on Restream. It's really good like that.
All right, yeah.
Remote producer. So if you want to get hold of Inner Guardians Master Lee for any of the training that he's offering, get hold of these YouTube channels, Inner Guardians, Critical Performance. Is it Critical Performance?
Yep.
This Friday, Rise Above Live 38, live at 9 o'clock, as always, on a Friday night. It's Customer Services, the call-in show. And you can call in on this. Let me just get it up on the screen right now. I've been very lazy on the graphics tonight. Pardon me. Here it is. We'll get that comment off the screen. Rise Above News. No, that's Rise Above News merchandise. Here we go. riseabovelivestream@gmail.com. That is the Skype. You can also, we will put a link to the stream if you are a streamer and you want to jump in with a video and you know how to do the headphones and the settings. You can try that too. But yeah, and we've also got this amazing guest, JD Gorilla, a rapper, a freedom fighter, an activist, a health advocate, and a very interesting guy. Really looking forward to getting him on the show. So please don't forget everyone to rise above. A big thank you to Inner Guardians.
Yep, I just want to thank the audience and yourself for the
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to build the table here.
I'm really looking forward to this Friday.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
Yeah, anyone that wants to contact us for whatever reason, this is your chance. You call in on Skype this Friday. Rise Above Live, Customer Services, special guest, JD Gorilla. Let's end it on that note. Rise above, everybody.
Rise above.